For me, one of the most exciting things in video games today is the hope that a game I've never heard of will turn up out of nowhere and surprise me. This can be a rare occurrence these days for someone like me that pays a lot of attention to what games are coming down the pipeline in the coming weeks and months. However, no matter how hard I think I'm paying attention to the upcoming game schedule, some games will always slip through. This is even more true when you consider all the smaller indie games that get announced and released with almost no fanfare. Luckily, this is not the case with Death's Door, and it took the video game world by storm this July. I had no prior knowledge of this game, but it was everywhere. I fell victim to the hype, and I'm sure glad I did. In Death's Door, you play as a soul-reaping crow working for the Reaping Commission headquarters. The setting here is very charming. You get off a bus on what seems to be a floating island in the void, and you head into the Hall of Doors, a place full of other crows working boring office jobs. Your job as a Reaper is to collect souls, and the game begins with you being tasked with acquiring a giant soul from a monster on the other side of a door in the office. These doors operate similar to what you might remember from Pixar's Monsters, Inc. The office environment has doors that send the protagonist to other worlds to collect necessary energy for said office environment. After you go through the first door and experience the gameplay tutorial, the rug is pulled out from under you and the giant soul is stolen. You fall through yet another door, and soon after you find the main story motivation that kicks off the game. The story is engaging, with a very enjoyable set of side characters. Many characters have a dry, sad kind of humor, but there are still some energetic, optimistic, funny characters thrown in as well. The entire setting of this world mirrors this, with the often dreary set pieces occasionally throwing in vibrant, colorful areas to keep in the balance. The music is no different, with the calm, ambient music while exploring, transitioning into intense, heart-pumping scores that help convey the heightened stakes in the game's action sequences. The game's presentation reminds me a lot of Hollow Knight thematically, which I really enjoy. Death's Door pulls from many different genres of games. The more I sit back and think about it, the more little inspirations I can start to imagine the developers having. The dungeons feel a little bit like a simpler, more streamlined 2D Zelda dungeon experience. You go through monster-infested rooms, solve puzzles with your different spells, acquire keys, and even get a new upgrade that helps you get to the rest of the dungeon, ending in a unique boss fight. Each dungeon boss was fun in both story and dialogue, and in gameplay. The epic bosses may seem like damage sponges at first go, but once you get in a rhythm and learn their attack patterns, you'll reap them just like any other enemy. One of my favorite parts of the game was re-exploring previous areas with the new abilities from the dungeon I just beat. The game can feel very Metroid-like in this way. Finding new weapons and farming souls to improve my character gives me feelings similar to Dark Souls. You kill enemies, get souls, and spend them on stat upgrades. These upgrades are significant, but the different weapon options feel a little bit more important. Do I go slow and heavy, relying on 1 to 2 hits before I escape? Or do I go with my fast-hitting daggers to spam 5 to 6 hits very quickly? Personally, I like the slower, more methodical approach, but the downside to hitting only 1 or 2 times is you build back your soul gauge slower this way. The soul gauge can basically be looked at as ammo for your projectile attacks. You are quite limited here, and the only way to get an arrow back or to cast another fireball is to hit something with a melee attack. This system is so smart because it forces you to eventually engage your opponent up close and makes the limited ranged attacks feel that much more meaningful, important, and earned. Another great thing about Death's Door is how it balances difficulty. Oftentimes, when a game wants to be difficult, it can just throw an unfairly powerful enemy or progress-halting boss at you. I never really felt this way in Death's Door. The moment-to-moment action could be tough, sure, but it never felt overwhelming to me. Yeah, I died my fair share of times to bosses and even regular encounters, but I cannot think of a single time where I felt stuck or would have to grind through a stressful section or demanding boss. I always knew where and how I messed up. Getting back to where I died was never really difficult because I was always unlocking shortcuts and I learned the areas and enemy placements regularly as I progressed. Health pots were never too far away either when I got low. The health system in this game is also very well balanced in my opinion. Every hit takes 1 point of damage, and there's no way to heal back any damage other than these little green pots throughout each area. These pots need a seed in order to grow, giving health fruit, and typically these seeds are pretty easily discovered. The main reason I like the healing system in Death's Door is it made me take each encounter seriously. I couldn't go into a seemingly simple enemy encounter without paying attention because I very well could lose one of my precious health bars right before a tough mini-boss or enemy gauntlet. I had to focus more on learning enemy tells and taking them out methodically and safely, rather than just rushing in and trading damage, knowing I have a healing spell to fix me up. If I had to pick one thing I love in video games, it is finding secrets and collectibles, and Death's Door has this in spades. Health upgrades, soul spheres crucial for leveling up, weapons, and the game's collectibles, shiny things. All these things to find, and still, every time I found something I felt like I earned it. Some secrets are easy to find just as expected, but many force you really to pay attention to the environment for hidden little corners where the isometric perspective is hiding something from you. These all felt fair, and once I knew how to look for them, I was finding them more and more often. Death's Door is also kind enough to point you in the right direction if you aren't finding these secrets. There's an NPC in the back half of the game that will spread information with you, pointing you towards a secret you missed. What I really liked is they don't just tell you where it is, rather they give you helpful hints on what to look for in a particular area. Many games with collectibles will eventually just give you an item that marks all missing collectibles on your map at some point, and while that can be a cathartic experience, getting to check off items off a list quickly, Death's Door made me feel like I still found the items of my own, like I figured out a puzzle they put in front of me. This game couldn't even mark things on the map if it wanted to because it doesn't even have a map. I'm still not sure how I feel about this. While the different areas of the game are not overly large, sometimes, especially when I'm unfamiliar with the area, I would get turned around pretty easily. But after exploring each area more and more for secrets and upgrades, I learned my way around and I didn't even feel the need for a map. Basically, where I land on the lack of a map is it's definitely noticeable, especially in the early game, but I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker by any means. Death's Door is one of my favorite games this year, and up there with some of the best indie games in recent memory. The gameplay loop is satisfying, and I always enjoy exploring the beautiful environments to find new secrets. The game doesn't overstay its welcome or feel too bloated, but there is plenty to keep you busy. After rolling credits, you'll even be offered a surprisingly beefy post-game offering even more exploration, lore, and challenges leading to the true ending of the game. Acid Nerve has created a hit well worth the praise and attention it's been receiving. Have you played Death's Door? Let me know in the comments what you think about it. And while you're down there, please leave any feedback, positive or negative, you may have of this review because it can help me on my future videos. Consider leaving a like or subscribing if you enjoyed the video. If not, a solid dislike does wonders for my confidence. If you want to watch me play games live and say hello, check me out on twitch.tv/dailybeating, where I play a variety of games by myself and with some friends. It would mean a lot to me if you stopped by. Thanks for watching. Hope you adore this game as much as I did. I'm sorry.